Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So this is a video slash possibly turning into a podcast that I've been wanting to do for so very long because it's talking about how I feed my boys. And not that you really care, but the point behind this vlog and why I care so much about this topic, this subject in general, feeding our kids healthy foods, it's not just to have all kids eat healthy foods. It is that, but it's also to recognize that each of us is wired and built and designed to eat in a very unique and specific way to our own bodies, to our own energy types. And yes, I'm referring to human design. So thank goodness. This is another blessing in disguise, not in disguise anymore, but another reason I'm really grateful that I had kids later in my life, or at least later in my consciousness and awareness of how health works, how food works, how the body works, because I didn't discover human design until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, so right about the time that Dalton was born, okay? So it's really beneficial to understand first this basic concept that we all are designed to take in food, which is information, in our own unique way, okay? So that includes you as the parent, caregiver, whoever you are watching this video, if you're not the child, him or herself, and your children. So this idea of like, I just imagine the movie Pleasantville, you know, with Reese Witherspoon, how like everybody like goes home and like eats dinner at 5:30 p.m. and we're eating the same things and everyone's like smiling and happy, but that's not reality and it's not the way it's supposed to be. So within the realm of human design, when we can look at 1, your basic energy type, and 2, your unique digestive profiles, which is going to include the unique way that each individual human best takes in, digests, absorbs, and assimilates the food, and their strongest sense, you will have the keys to allowing this each child's individual unique flow of health to be the most easy and effortless. Basically, it's the way that you can know that you're not fighting yourself when you're looking at food and how you receive it, in terms of how that then allows you to be your healthiest, to live in your healthiest body, and to wipe out all these rules and these ideas that are in the world, because they're fine and good and all, but remember that everybody is talking from their own unique life perspective on something that worked for them. And the only way that we can know if it's going to work for us is if it fits in under this umbrella of all humans run on glucose and are built, wired, and designed to mostly consume plants. Like that is our food, that is our energy, that's how our body, our tissue cells and organs receive the truth. Second, layer in your human design type and then your unique digestive profiles, and then you're going to have the key to the way that you were literally made by God and designed to live in this body in this lifetime and be the highest version of yourself that your soul intended for you to be. And this is how we use food as a piece of that, okay? So it's like a very big deal. It's not just, hey, my kid eats this and my other kid eats that. It's for this reason that they can become their highest versions of themselves. And I am all about that, okay? So I'm gonna talk about Dash first, and yeah, I actually have all the foods that he eats, and it's not very many, and this is one thing that is specific to him. So Dash's digestive type is alternating appetite, which is the oldest of all digestive types. So you think back to when people were hunters and gatherers. That was like the model of the human digestive system then, right? We didn't have grocery stores with 1,000 options. We didn't have restaurants with all these mixtures and recipes and things like that. It was very simple things, simple foods. And so Dash is more of a gatherer type. So in that era, you know, people would go out and like find fruit off a bush or bananas off a tree or wherever it might be. Think plants. So he actually is made and designed to dominantly consume plants. It's not that he can't consume meat, but I don't know if he will. So what's interesting about this, and If you have been pregnant, then you will probably know what I'm talking about here, which is that when you're pregnant, you feel differently, obviously, but you can kind of sense the energy of the baby, okay? So I've had friends that are like, oh my gosh, with this baby, I was like so high energy and I'm usually more not like that. Or this one, I was like really more tired or whatnot. And I know there's so many factors, but what I want to tell you about this is when I became pregnant with Dash, I didn't know, like I was pregnant for quite a few weeks, but it was a very like line in the sand moment where my body was like, no animal products at all, okay? I don't eat dairy, I don't eat eggs, I don't eat farm fish, I don't eat pork anytime my whole life because those foods trigger inflammation and disease. But I would eat some like wild-caught salmon, sometimes shrimp or scallops or halibut, sometimes chicken or turkey, organic, right? And when I was pregnant with Dash, it was like, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. And I'm telling you this because I believe it's because it was the baby, when you're pregnant, is getting the first flow of energy, right? It needs that for growth. So like moms are kind of like, your health, like you get kind of leftovers, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching women how to get baby body ready, right? Because it is a preparation process. And, you know, if things aren't working, that just means like you need more preparation. Not that it'll take longer, but you know, whatever. But the baby is going to like have a very strong energy. And so I just think it's so interesting that when Dash was born and I ran his human design, that he is alternating appetite, plant-based babe. He's 2 years old. He's never had one bite of any kind of animal product at all. And that's by his own choice. And also my desire to feed both of my children mostly plant-based, okay? But I don't have to do anything. He knows what he wants, okay? So again, going back to this alternating appetite, what it means is like his digestive system is very, very simple. So it doesn't want to be overwhelmed with 10 things in a meal or 10 things in a smoothie, for example. So it's really helpful as a parent to know this because one, you just see them for who they are and you let them be themselves. It develops trust within your child, right? Because you're letting them lead. You're letting them say like, this is what I want. This is when I want to eat. And you're allowing them to tune into their body, to tune into their hunger, to tune into their true desires, which by the way, at this point in life shouldn't be interrupted by like conditioning with things like you need to eat breakfast every day, or you have to eat 3 times a day, or you need to eat lots of times a day. You know, hopefully they're not watching commercials and like reading books on weight loss and things like that, right? They're 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So the point is that children have like an innate knowing of when they're hungry, how much they want to eat, when they're done, and we need to honor that and allow that, and we actually can really learn from them. And so there's that piece. And then second, me as a mom, I'm not flipping out going like, oh my gosh, he eats only this handful numbers of foods. Shouldn't he be getting variety? Shouldn't he be getting all these other nutrients? He's missing out. What about this? I'm so worried. None of that. I'm not worried at all. Why? Because the way that our digestive system works has to be honored because it is our dominant use of our energy day to day in our body. And so relating that to health, if your digestive system is working well and efficiently, you will be healthy, okay? And because it takes the right foods in order for that to happen, but it also takes you consuming them in the way that you were made to consume them. So I like to call it made to eat, okay? So I'll tell you more about the sessions that I have for this reason later. But so it takes the pressure off you because you don't need to worry. Like this is how he was built. This is how he will thrive. So he eats a few things. I'm gonna show you what they are, and I'll kind of tell you a little bit more about how I just work with him and his appetite, his brain, and his digestive profile. So again, it's alternating appetite, it's simple foods, pure foods, and how I make it work like day to day. Okay, here we go. So I breastfed Dash for 7 months, and then we had him on Else formula, plant-based baby food, baby formula. And then also we started using oat milk. And so I get this in bulk. Sometimes I make it, then it's really clean, but sometimes I just get it in bulk. It's organic oat milk from Costco. And even though like I love the plant-based baby formula, and the good thing about it was it's only made of 3 ingredients, so it works really well with Dash, but like oats is 1 ingredient, right? And so it's even more pure, more simple, and easier for his body to take in. And he absolutely loves oats and everything made with oats, okay? So one thing that he does is he still has oat milk in the morning and at night, okay? But then, this is his literal diet, you guys. He likes applesauce. He doesn't like apples. He doesn't like organic apple chips. He likes apple sauce. He likes guacamole. So we buy these like mini organic guacamoles from wherever. So he doesn't mind spices either. So, but guacamole, prefers guacamole instead of even just avocado. Organic hummus, he loves. He'll eat this and this with a spoon. He loves salsa. Seriously, like mild. I get mild salsa and he loves it. And what he eats it with are these Siete sea salt chips, okay? Like, seriously, I love these. They're grain-free. Not that I need to be grain-free, but I do want them to be gluten-free. So, but they're grain-free, and they just have avocado oil, sea salt, and this is a really good brand, and he is obsessed. So, like, this is one of his staple foods, literally. If you look at the ingredients, it's a beautiful label for anyone that would be shopping for a plant-based food that you can buy. So cassava flour, avocado oil, coconut flour, chia seed, sea salt, okay? Very, very simple, so that's good for his gut. He eats bananas sometimes. Like, I wish this kid would eat like a whole piece of fruit, a whole vegetable, but what he eats it in the form of salsa, he eats it in the form of applesauce, and sometimes he'll eat a little bananas. My mom told me the other day that they were making smoothies and he did put some wild blueberries in his mouth. And then that's what I was gonna tell you next is I have these squeezy bottles and they are amazing for kids. They don't spill and you can stand them up like this and fill them and they won't tip over. So I have these in my Amazon store if you wanna grab them for your kids, and there's a big size too, but this is the one. I send 2 of these in his lunches and I make smoothies. And his smoothies are simple and they're made of bananas, usually 2 bananas, and then I'll do organic cherries or blueberries or both, and then a bunch of dark leafy greens. So he gets leafy greens in his smoothies. And then the only other things that he really eats is coconut yogurt, or I will buy oat yogurt so he can take it to daycare because we can't have nuts or tree nuts at daycare. But he really both kids really like this brand, this coconut one. It's really creamy. And potatoes of all kinds. We make French fries almost every night. These are just organic potatoes. We really like Yukon Gold. And he does eat some sweet potatoes, but mostly this. And ketchup. And then he really likes strawberry oat ice cream, or sometimes vanilla oat ice cream, and sometimes like a popsicle. But that's pretty much his entire diet, right? But again, he's getting plants. It's like potatoes. The body, you guys remember, runs on glucose, so this is good. So he's getting potatoes, he's getting bananas, he's getting lots of fruits and apples and, you know, some chia, some avocado oil, and veggies here. But yeah, so we keep it simple. I don't make him eat any of these certain things at a certain time. He knows the things he likes and he asks for them at this point. So you'd think, oh, well, he'd probably have applesauce or a banana or a smoothie for breakfast. Well, you'd think so, but no. Like this morning, he ate Siete chips and salsa for breakfast after he had some oat milk. You know, it sounds gross or weird to me, but that's what Dash wants. And again, like imagine if you were a gatherer and you're just walking through the world, like trying to find food, you really would just probably choose whatever was there, right? And so that's how I make sense of it for for him. And I just know like I'm in charge of buying clean products. I'm in charge of buying things without chemicals, preservatives whenever possible. I'm in charge of making sure he gets plants in his body. And I'm doing that in a way that fits with him and fits with what I know he needs, okay? In terms of like real food, right? We all need real whole foods, mostly plants. So that's how we do it. And every day when he goes to daycare, he doesn't go every day, but when he goes, I'm sending the same things over and over. And so I've like talked to his teachers, and he just moved to a preschool room, and they have you fill out this paper, and it says, do you have any concerns? And I will say on there, like, I really appreciate you working with me and understanding how Dash eats and his simple digestive profile. And they I give them a bag of Siete chips from Costco, and they keep it there, and he literally will eat chips and salsa almost at every snack. And then, you know, his smoothies, his yogurt, his applesauce, those really, really basic things. And sometimes he'll do like those organic fruit strips or fruit leathers. You know, it's still fruit. It's just a different form, but very basic. And that's good, right? So I let him be him, and I know that he's thriving. He's definitely not a small child. He's very sturdy, very good size. Like, he's bigger than Dalton was at this age, and I think that's just his build. But the point of me saying that is that he's not not getting enough. He's not getting enough variety. This is how he thrives, and I'm so happy to know it, right? Okay, so that's one of his digestive profiles. And then his strongest sense is touch. And the way that you can work with your child's strongest sense is to bring that into the way that they eat. So with Dashy's strongest sense being touch, and it's really interesting because, again, these are the ways that you or your child will best digest all information in your life. And food is just one pillar of information. So you can see how this translates in other areas of his life. With the touch, he is a very physical little boy. He loves hugs. He loves his snuggly. He carries his puppy around by the tail all the time. He rubs it on his face. He loves his soft blankets. If he comes up to you and you're wearing a fleece or a soft sweater, he'll be like, so nice, mommy or grandma or whoever. He likes soft things. We got him this really soft cheetah blanket for his birthday, and he just loves it. He asks for it. Now, when it comes to food, if you or someone you know in your family has touch for part of their digestive energy, you want to give them things they can literally hold with their fingers. So he can pick up French fries, he can pick up potatoes. This one, you can't really touch the applesauce because it'd be messy, but this kid will eat ketchup with his fingers, or salsa sometimes, or hummus with his fingers. And I could be like, no, you need to use a spoon. But when he touches things, he learns about them, and his body processes what they are, and it's preparing the digestive system to have a way easier time bringing that thing in and then using it to its maximum potential. Does that make sense? So by him using his hands, his fingertips are translating to his brain, to his gut. This is what this is. This is how we're gonna break it down. I recognize this, I know this is good, okay? So allow them to touch, give them lots of finger foods. Even if you're an adult, you might do things like sushi or, potatoes, carrots, things you can pick up with your hands, and just know there's a reason that you want to do that you're called to those foods, and that you also can learn through touch. Even if you're meeting someone new, if you hug someone, you can read their energy if this is one of your senses. So it's really cool, it's really interesting, and yeah, that's who he is. And when I discovered this about him, I'm like, I can already see it. That is him. And that's what human design is really like, you guys. It's so telling of innately who you are. It gives you so much freedom. It gives you so much peace to just let yourself do weird things with food that aren't really weird for you. You're wired to be this way. And when you recognize these little intricacies of the way that you do things, and then that that's helping your health, you embrace it, and it allows you to just have an easier time, like not trying to fit into a box, not trying to be like someone else, not trying to do food someone else's way. It's literally your way that you are designed to eat, okay? So that's Dash, and we'll go to Dalton next. Okay, so let's talk about Dalton and his digestive types and how I work with it and feed him so that he is as healthy as he can be. Okay, so I forgot to mention this, but Dash is a projector, and that has also some things to be aware of with food, but I will talk about that at a different time. And Dalton is a generator. He will make decisions with his sacral, with his gut. So the best thing to do if you have a child that's a generator, that has a defined sacral, or a manifesting generator with that defined sacral, is to let them choose. And again, under the umbrella of you go out and get the foods that we know humans run off of, which is mostly plants, whole foods, right? So we're gonna fill our kitchens with fruits and veggies and dark leafy greens and all of those things as like the base component of our life, of our meals. And there's room for fun, right? And with a generator type or defined sacral, they are gonna respond in life, and that includes to the foods that they want in the moment, okay? So the best tip I have if you have a defined sacral child is to ask them, do you want an apple or a banana? Why? Because if you ask them, what do you want for breakfast, their sacral can't answer. It can only respond to a this or that, a yes or a no. So you want to literally give them 2 options, maybe 3, but you know, don't go nuts, or then they'll have a hard time deciding 2. So I'll ask Dalton, like, usually every morning he wants a kid's Cliff Bar, which is made of oats, or a Lara bar. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. It's basically made of whole ingredients. And then we have fruit too. So I'll say, do you want oranges or a banana today? Do you want apples or banana? Do you want grapes or whatever? And then he'll tell me. And it's not to say your kid won't be like, hey, mommy, can I have a banana? Because he does that a lot too. But when you want to give them some power, some say in the situation, especially if you have like toddlers when they're really wanting to have control, then use this, especially for a defined sacral. So do you want this or do you want that? You know, you're giving them options and they're still getting to choose, and that's how they're going to know. And what we have to remember with defined sacral human beings, I have one as well, is that you really need to trust your gut, trust your body. And sometimes we're not going to be able to make sense of it with our mind, right? Kind of like with Dash, where he wants chips and salsa in the morning for breakfast, and most of us would think, well, why wouldn't you want something like more of a breakfast food, right? Well, the gut is going to tell you at this moment in time, you know, the best thing for my body is this. And sometimes it's not just for pure nutrition, right? Like, have you ever just really wanted like an iced coffee? Sure. And within that choice, you can make a better selection of ingredients, right? You could get non-dairy milk. You could get a decaf if you're, you don't want to have too much caffeine or whatnot. And obviously Dalton's not having coffee or lattes, but like for you as an adult. But we have to remember that the gut is trustworthy and that the body knows. And it's so much of our health here is about like getting the mind to quiet down and to really understand some core truths about how our bodies run, what they do require. And in the most simple terms, it is whole foods, mostly plants. We need to run on glucose that we get from fruits and veggies, okay? And everything else is more minimal than those 2 huge components plus water. So we're recognizing that, and then we're applying what we know about ourselves as in our human design, and then down to unique digestive profiles, okay? So that's the main thing about him being a generator, is to ask him, do you want this or do you want that? Let his gut decide, let his sacral decide, and give the good, safe, healthy options. All right, then the thing about Dalton's unique digestive profile is his is called hot food. So this means literally that the way his body will best be able to take in the nutrients that are in the foods that he does consume is when they are room temperature or warmer. So it's literally like if you give this kid an popsicle or like ice cold smoothie, his body will be like having a hard time because of the temperature of the food or the ingredients, being able to easily take it in, break it down, break it apart, process it, and assimilate it and use it for good, right? And that's the reason we're eating, you guys, remember, is we want the foods to actually be accessible to our trillions of cells and to be moved by our body in its most efficient, beautiful way that it does all on its own. It communicates with one another, and it sends things to where they need to be at any given moment. But we have to be able to get those right foods in that our body runs on, and then we have to be able to get them in and absorbed and processed and assimilated so we can utilize them. And so that's really what we're doing here with these human digestive profiles. So we honor it, and I don't give this kid like frozen foods. So room temperature or above, okay? So here's some ways that I play with that for him. With smoothies, because he does like them, what I do is I use bananas, which are room temperature. If I use frozen fruit, I'll put it in my blender, which it's dirty, but here it is. And I'll let it set, and the fruit can warm up like before I blend it or before I send it to school with him. And that's actually another nice thing about it is I make his smoothie and I have it set out by his backpack, and then usually has it for his morning snack, so it's not super cold anymore by the time he drinks it. Okay, the other thing you can do, which I do, is I'll use things like apples, bananas, dates. He likes chocolate, so I'll use raw cacao powder and do dates, bananas, and apples. And sometimes I'll do that PB2 powder to make it like a chocolate peanut butter smoothie, and it's not cold, right? So that way, he still can have all the fruit. He can have it blended like a smoothie, and greens too. I always add greens, but then it's not hard on his system. It's not difficult to take in for him, okay? So that's the thing that I do with smoothies. If he wants like apple juice, usually he'll get it from the pantry, not from the fridge. We'll just leave it in there. He doesn't add ice to his drinks. He likes just plain water. Like we have a water thing in our fridge that's cold, and I really like drinking the cold water. And then we have one by the sink that's just room temp, and so he always gets this one. For school, for daycare, I have this little part of his lunch thing that's the thermos or a warmer. So like in the morning, I will warm up his green beans or carrots or potato fries and put them in here so they stay warm for when he's eating his lunch at school. Now, this doesn't mean that your kid won't want anything raw, but a lot of times they prefer it cooked. So these are steamed carrots. Once in a while he asks for raw carrots, but he does like cooked veggies, cooked broccoli, cooked carrots, cooked green beans, potatoes, and things like that. Yeah, so it's really just not going into the more harsh zone of like frozen cold things, okay, and like ice. And understanding that that's gonna help him to just take it in and his body can read it efficiently, okay? So water bottle, we talked about room temperature, warm things, keeping it warm, and just going like baseline, room temp, and above, okay? And again, this doesn't mean like he's never gonna want ice cream, but again, is ice cream a core component of a healthy diet all day long? No, it's not. And then he also likes things like peanut butter, pickle, sandwiches. So like those would be room temp as well. Weird, yeah. So he's my little warm soul, and he is a very warm and loving little boy. You can see it. He lights up the room when he walks in anywhere most of the time, and very, very warm-hearted. And so that would translate across all areas of life, not just with food for him, okay? And then his strongest sense is smell. So the way that you can use this if you have smell as one of your strongest or one of your profiles is to understand that when you might be like older in life and you're cooking your own food, that as you linger above it, you're smelling it, you're savoring it, you're taking it in as you're preparing your food, or even as you sit down. Let's say someone made dinner for you, you start to like just sit there and smell the ingredients, smell the spices, the herbs, or the flavors, and just take a little bit extra time to do that because your body's reading it that way. So just like Dash will like touch the food, Dalton just senses it and smells the food, and that prepares his body, that prepares his digestive system to be more in tune, more ready to receive these ingredients that are coming in then, okay? And same thing in life, like have you heard the term like smell a rat? So like it's his form of intuition would be, this doesn't smell right to me, this doesn't, like something is off, like that's gonna be his strongest sensory gift in all areas of life, okay? And that's how we use it. So pretty simple, but it's different enough that they're eating different things. They're eating at different times. I mean, yes, we sit down for dinner, but I don't make them stay. I don't make them like sit there and finish their meals or things like that, because again, that's gonna override what their body's telling them, what they need, how full they are. And we have to remember the amount of energy that you use day to day is going to influence the amount of food that you want to take in, right? If we understand eating from like a more basic concept, the body is going to give you hunger signals when it needs literal energy and like sustenance. And so if you're having a day where maybe you're not utilizing your energy as much, then your requirements are going to be less. And so it's really normal to have a different amount of appetite at different times, right? So we really can't expect ourselves or our kids or anybody to just like finish their plate, because we aren't in their bodies. We don't know how they feel. We don't know what they've been doing all day and how much energy they already have, how much they need more of or whatnot, okay? It's a very personal experience, and so it's just another really vital reason that we allow for ourselves and we allow for our children to be who they are, and they know, right? It's about trusting what they're doing. But human design really gives parents, caregivers, peace of mind to be able to let your kids do these things and not worry, right? Not worry they're not getting enough, and to also know that they're getting it in the exact best way for their bodies to take in, digest, process, assimilate, and therefore translate that into effortless health with ease for them, so they can be their best little soul in this life and thrive, okay? And that's really the best thing that we can do, is allow them to differentiate and allow them to be themselves and allow them to become who they are meant to be, okay? So if this is really interesting to you, I do this work in my private sessions. You can book a Find Your Flow with Food Intensive, either for yourself or someone in your family. And I also do healthy family makeover coaching packages as well. You can check out all the details, link below or on my website. So if this video was helpful, you guys, give it a like, make sure you're subscribed, click the bell so that you're notified of all my other videos about kids, plant-based eating, human design, cooking, and so much more. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.